It's time, everybody, for a little bit more of actually what's probably going to be the end of Quest 64, because I believe we're in a good enough position that we should be able to beat the game. And by that, I mean we are missing 4 spirits on this map, and then however much there is in Brannock and the Boil Hole. We should be able to get Magic Barrier before the end of this, which is what I'm hoping for, at least. Which will, again, really just turn this into a completely default Quest 64 playthrough, but nevertheless, it will be a thing that's quite helpful because, yeah, the bosses at the end, they suck. They hurt a lot. Guilty is quite the pain purveyor. Not sure if he's a pimp or a player, though, but hey, one thing at a time here. Let's get this sorted by degrees a little bit. Ow. Yeah, I'm pushing it a little bit, but I think most of that is actually more just that I had absolute dog RNG for that avalanche. Oh well. Avalanche may be sort of the one-size-fits-all solution, but that doesn't mean that it's going to actually work for you. Sometimes you just have bad luck. So yeah, I gotta look into that chat designer thing at some point in order to maybe have my Twitch chat be slightly more reliable. Speaking of reliability, though, the controller seems to be back to being all right. That was a bit of a form of distress when I was coming back, but just using this thing via Bluetooth, it seems to be okay now. I only had the one weird Bluetooth disconnect. Yeah, the odds of me having 36 Earth before Fargo are basically 0. I would have to grind out 4 more spirit levels. And I would have to find all 4 of the spirits here in Dindom Dries. And by 4, I mean 5, because I was just looking at how many were on the list without reading the descriptions right off the hop. One of them is post-Fargo. So, yeah, I'm not going to do that. Honestly, I'm in kind of a crap place when it comes to farming anyway. Earlier on, I wanted to go and, like, grind up some stats while I was doing some other stuff. You know, something to keep me occupied while I was writing, basically. And I had a bit of a realization. There's no good warps back here. Because I thought about, like, yeah, okay, I'll go to Windward Forest and I will go grind defense over there and just sit around and get some experience that way. But how do I get back here? I would have to go back through Barragoon Tunnel. I don't think there's a wings place at Greenwich at Greenock. And we got the classic bad luck. Oh well. So, the only other solution that I would have would be either to warp to Lindblom or whatever the place was called and hoof it all the way back through Barragoon Tunnel, or I would have to go all the way through to Brannock, and you bet that I'm definitely not going to go and do that much progress off camera. I hate when I do that even by accident in some of these games that I have done by accident before. So, yeah, it would basically just be that I go into the tunnel and get Termant, which is not really the best, you know, not the most efficient of choices. So instead, I basically just walked in circles for a minute. Like 20 minutes rather, to gain a little bit of agility experience. Because unfortunately, yes, I'm playing this on a PS4 controller. If you just hold the stick like this, the camera is... You're not going to get very good circles, especially in a place where you want to be, like, tight in terms of your positioning there. And I certainly would. Can this hit any of these guys? Yeah, but the damage is kind of shit, as to be expected. Because, again, the earth spells are like the big place where the balance in this game is absolutely out of whack. What do you mean Avalanche is at Earth 24? And for that matter, the Spirit Shield, pardon me, Magic Barrier is at 36. That's goofy. Also, yes, I forgot to heal. And if you're thinking, hey, it would probably be smarter for you to just, like, do your fire spells because these guys are blue element, so they're weak to red magic. Yes. But I didn't think that through at the time. Anyway. Let's fix this guy's hash. As this dude does a bit of like a swiggity-swooty walk coming up to us. The head just kind of makes me think of the Tin Man a little bit. Yeah. It just at least was something to do. And on top of that, it was like, okay, I really would want something to weigh down the square button. I didn't have anything to hand, and I couldn't find my tape. So ultimately, I was just like, okay, I finished listening to that side of a record. I'm gonna just switch this off for now, and we'll do this with a minimum of stat grinding period. Yeah, a little bit, but I think it's just because the thing that very specifically makes me think Tin Man is the fact that it's silver. Or silver colored, parentheses. The color of various metals that are not necessarily all silver. So it very much does just kind of look like the top of the Tin Man's head. Do we have any new... I think we got Confusion, like, fairly recently, which we don't really need. Yeah, which absolutely makes sense for the locality that we're in. We are in a desert, so... And on top of that, Shamwood is over there, and it is very clearly a pyramid. Shamwood in particular, I get very specifically, like, Babylon-ish kind of vibes of that as a location. Not necessarily the clothes that Sita, or whatever the guy's name is. I'm sorry, Sita is the guy from Dark Cloud. That was a bit of a misapprehension, but they are both silver-haired fellas from the distant past. But yeah, the guy in Shamwood definitely is not like... I'm not here to say that he has any sort of like look like anything in the Tigris and Euphrates area. Just that the idea of the sort of the way that the location looks feels kind of like if somebody said that the Hanging Gardens of Babylon was a specific like visual inspiration, I'd be like, yeah, of course it was. Anyway. Which I also kind of think in its own right, that's kind of cool. Just as like a choice. I appreciate that one. That's a good one. Oh, I'm up a little too close because I'm fucking up dodging those. Anywho. Yeah, and then we've also got, like, sunfish out here. Oh, guys. Give me a minute here. I am just sort of, like, on the outskirts of this town. Let me at least... Oh, right, they can't follow me in there because it's safe zone of that type, right? Obviously. So, of course, they're not going to cut me a break. Had to be real dumb. Ow. Okay, so my positioning here in the world of life is a little bit crap. So I think I'm just gonna skip a turn for a second here and say, see if this guy comes in, and he did. Unfortunately, we're definitely not reaching him with Water Pillar 2. I want to avoid as many turns where I would be taking 3 hits, excuse me, from that BS as possible. Because, yeah, here I'm about to only feel the heat a little bit, actually. That didn't turn out so bad. Now, game, if you could just give me just a second here to get my ass over here. And here, I don't think this building has anything of great import, but... Do you have anything? Oh, you distribute healing potions. Helpful, but not really for me at the moment. Anyway, now that we've fumbled our way over here, let's save. Yay, we at least gained a health point. Okay, so the last 3 spirits are all once we're clear of the city limits, right? And on our way off to the boil hole proper. Oh, I even tried to side dodge that. You wasn't having that. Oh well. Can't really be helped. Okay, good. I was just making sure that I actually properly remembered. Anyway, what that guy doesn't know is that colloidal silver gives him a severe weakness to fire, so... What? Let's throw some stuff out at these guys. Oh, they're only 242 HP. They're pretty fast, but hey. Just sit here and farm this a little bit. I'm gonna do one more and leave. I was like, do I want to fight this? And the answer is no. I kind of don't. Oh, I thought he was dead. I saw him get hit by an absolute crap load of those rocks. I thought for sure that bro was toast. Yeah, let's do this. We get, like, no damage in on the magma fish, but that's okay. It's like, where the hell is it? I had to think for a second. When really I could probably just press buttons until I found it, and it would be fine. Hey! Nice long death animation there, so... Hey, guys. It takes a nice year to react to that. He's going in slow motion for some reason. I'm telling you, it's all that colloidal silver. This is, like, probably a terrible and slightly confusing joke. For those of you who are like, what the fuck are you talking about? Colloidal silver, which is, like, a thing that people take as, like, quack medicine. Well, it's a liquid that contains a colloid of silver, which, you know, tiny little silver particles suspended. It can turn your skin blue. And it's very strange. And I mean, even if I was the sort of person who bought into that, I think that would put me off of it pretty fast. I can only hope that the same is the case for anybody else who buys into that sort of medical quackery. Here, I think even a Fireball level 2 should get us out of here, which is going to be good, because I need a little extra mana out of this fight. Because I'm getting depleted. And I want to make sure I can do it before I... Is there nothing over here? Oh, and I need the Fire Ruby to even use the Kol Hazard shortcut. That's fucked. I mean, that's understandable, but it is still kind of a load of shit. I don't know. I was thinking hopefully there was a there was one of the 3 spirits that I'm missing here over there. Because I feel like the last time I played this, I had a lot of difficulty finding those. So... Oh, whoops. By the way, I discovered recently, because I was looking at the TCRF page for this game, which seems a little bit unfinished based on what I know offhand. But also I assume that, like most of the Quest 64 audience at this point, is the narrow subset of, and I'm saying this affectionately, sickos for the game. So there's probably at least some... Not a lot of people, basically. There's some not a lot of people, yes, I know what I said, who are, like, bothering to do updates for that particular page. Because Quest 64, I think, despite the fact that there have been a lot of people trying to help it along, I don't feel that the game still has a very positive reputation, which is deeply unfortunate because, again, even if it's not great, it is a very inventive game for the N64. And really, I think that this game would probably do fine if it weren't for the fact that, like, the PS1 RPGs existed and they had cutscenes. Truth be told, on some level, the idea of, like, oh, well, it's NES games, but in 3D doesn't feel that far off from a lot of other N64 shit in a lot of ways. The early, you know, 32-bit era was very much sort of like re-experimentation in some ways. But anyway, enough of that shit. But basically, I found that Kol Hazard's name, and I will say the word hazard correctly for this because in the Japanese version, it is Supposedly, it's Task Hazard, which I think is... That makes it sound like an absolute motherfucker of a place on some level. In a weird way that, like... I mean, I guess Cull Hazard also, because... You know, we know what the English word cull is, even if that's clearly not what it's supposed to be in this case, because, you know, the extremely Celtic target for world building with this game. Well, okay, I should probably rephrase that we as in the audience know, and not necessarily every other person. Which, by the way, is why I've been pronouncing it as Hazard instead of Hazard. If anybody's like, oh, well, that's wrong for whatever reason. I don't know off the top of my head, but it's like, it feels more accurate to being like a name. Although I guess, you know, just calling it like Hazard Cave is also not necessarily a thing that wouldn't be done either. Okay, so I saw the other one, and... Is it on the other side of this craggly mass, or do I have to do some sort of weird pathing? No, I think it's literally... Yeah, it's literally just right here. Okay. That's good, and I should probably remember to actually heal before each fight. Well, you even joke about Spellion. Yes, there were certain games that were apparently like find and replace translated a little bit. So you did have Spellion of Black Chaos in some cases, apparently, which I think is very funny. Although also being a corporation and being like, oh, well, you can't say the phrase magic card in your game is kind of weasel shit, but hey. Who's surprised that Hasbro has been into the weasel shit for very, very long? How much damage do we hot steam? Oh boy, these guys are like way sturdier than everything outside. Then again, we don't have a weakness hit on these guys, so maybe it's a psychological effect and I'm being dumb. I mean, yeah, because Blue Man Group was weak to fire, so... And these guys are neutral to it because they're rock type. Earth element, pardon me. Rock type, yeah. Wait, of Dark Cat? Wait, yeah, Dark Magician of Chaos would be the source card there, right? Which kind of sits in this weird, confusing place for me, because it's like... Well, I know what Magician of Black Chaos is, obviously, from the fact that it had that brief moment in the anime of existing. Yeah, I'm not going to disagree that Spell Card actually does kind of sound better in its way. It's just that it is kind of like very, very, you know, shitty in a corporate way on behalf of Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro. But of course, that's not necessarily that unusual in the greater scheme. Anyway, let's cause a bit of a cave-in here to deal with a couple of butterflies, because we're normal. But yeah. I remembered hearing about Dark Magician of Chaos, and I was, like, extremely confused, because by that point, I was quite sure that I had seen Magician of Black Chaos in cardboard form. Which, by the way, it's very interesting that you had that... But you did not have... You basically didn't have the word black anywhere else in the game, in the English localization for quite a while. You know, we all remember the era of Red Eye's Bee Dragon and Bee Skull Dragon and Dark Hole, as opposed to Black Hole, which is what is clearly depicted on the art. But I think we've been over that bit before, that it's like, that's, you know, a little bit of Upper Deck being kind of a little too nervous about some things. Listen, there are some things that I understand changing, like the original Axe of Despair art is a little bit nasty. Fiend Comedian, I think, was one of the other ones that had like way too much detail put into the faces, and it was really upsetting as a result. Oh yeah, Witch of the Black Forest wasn't changed, right? I forgot about that, which is weird because there was an era where I was really sad about the fact that that card was banned because, well, it used to be like sickeningly good. I mean, it's still quite good, but not necessarily for the same reasons. That was, of course, back in the day when strategies were significantly fewer, basically. I didn't get turnaround, did I? This does look different, and we got a flamed main in here, so I'm going to assume that we are in a different location. Oh, bro, you can't even hit me with that, can you? So, we're a little far away, then. Because I know we can be in a position where Flamed Main just tries to do Hot Steam and can't hit us. Right. Red Wyvern, which is a fairly rare encounter, but would kind of suck because Red Wyvern has like 500 HP, so that's even slower to take out. And granted, like, we took those things out in like 4 hits, which is not even that bad. Oh, there we go. Yeah. So Red Wyvern at close range does Fireball level 3, I believe. But at bare minimum, at least Red Wyvern is like fat enough that it takes huge amounts of damage from our rocks. And also, it being a fire type now properly means that we can do huge damage to it with our water pillar. Really? This is practically the same fight, game. What are you doing? Or do they do that up close and they do the fireballs further away? Yeah. Huh. Strange. I would have thought they would do the fireballs from up close, but because that is much more of a close range spell. But on the other hand, we do always see that when the wyverns use fireballs on us, they just go right over our heads. So that's fine ultimately. Get fucked, buddy. It missed its own self buff. That's amazing. Oh, those magma balls are still only hitting us once. Which, let me tell you, I'm glad for that. Taking the triple every time would suck. Oh. That actually could hit me. I was not expecting that to be the case. Yeah, he does his gravel storm here. Great accuracy I've got going here. Anyway, yeah, no, red wyverns are nothing compared to the version that you fight earlier in the game. At least proportionally. And they also... Well... They don't have that fear factor, I'll say that, and that's about all I can say that's useful. Thank goodness the enemies were approaching from behind us, so we can do that. Like, the wyverns in Kul Hazar don't really have the same bad enemy layouts. You know, and by bad, I mean bad for them. Oh, hey, we actually landed all three of those. That's quite rare for us. Especially at this point. Ah, crap, we got... Well, it doesn't really matter that much, because all we're doing is just casting Soul Searcher as we walk away, because it's free MP experience. You know what, I should take an actual fight here. I missed the... Because this is right near the end, isn't it? Or is it just over there? I think it's just over here or something, right? Alright, just start dropping some rocks everywhere. Okay, I guess we're gonna leave the fight then. Never mind. I got hit by like one silence throughout the entirety of Dindum Dries, and now I'm just eating all of them in Boil Hole. Oh yeah, these dudes have hilariously slow animations too. I know we all know that already, but because I had mentioned it in reference to the others, let me just point it out again, because, yeah. Their movement animations take, like, years to go. Why am I using this attack? This isn't a good one for this fight. I think I was just in autopilot from all the butterflies. Parentheses, this is also just kind of what fights look like when you are an Earth main. Okay, there's the other spirit I was looking for in this location. It's literally being blocked by these guys, like, almost entirely, so... Thank you for spinning like that, camera. Not that it was dangerous, it just was, like, very awkwardly timed. Hey, good time to actually get one of those right as I was picking up another. I'm just curious. Why is weakness down? I guess weaken all is all the way over there, which is weird. Eh. Whatever. Yeah, our damage is going up, thankfully, from all this leveling we've been doing. Now, of course, as I kind of indicated, unfortunately, we're not going to have Magic Barrier for Fargo, but we're also not going to get it, like, right as we kill him, unfortunately. Which would kind of be the funny time to do it, but hey. I stacked my windows incorrectly here again. Whoops. Fix that. Technically, Magma Ball does more damage there, but it's not a huge amount. So I was just doing that for, like, speed of inputs. Let's pick up these chests. Get ourselves a giant shoe and a replica. And keep getting into these fights. This might be putting myself into a little bit of danger because this one might be literally right about to act, but Hey, we got the one who was buffed, so that's fun. Fuck's sakes. Yeah, now we're taking the trip. God damn it, Brian. Okay, just land the hit. Get the kill. If I had gotten 3 misses in a row, I would have been profoundly angry. That and, of course, the part where I would have to go back through the whole dungeon, but that's comparatively minor, I think, compared to me watching the RNG just shit its pants again. Right down my throat. Absolute whiff. All right. Good times. And just bonk. Give him a bit of the old bonk atomic punch. Try to do this from as far away as possible. Not because it's going to affect our accuracy or anything, but just because I want to actually land hits without opening myself up to the triple. For fuck's sakes, dude. That's better. As I'm now completely out of mana. Why am I looking at a map? I don't get a map for a dungeon. I never have. What was I thinking? Not even sure I was. I don't have time for you fuckers right now. I also don't really have time for these fuckers. God, this tunnel is so long. This dungeon is kind of tedious. And you might be like, well, yeah, all the dungeons are just straight lines, but this one, this feels special in terms of how painful it is. Oh. Ice wall. That should give us some good area of effect damage on these guys. Will that hit all? This hit all of them from that position? I mean, accuracy checks notwithstanding. And the answer is yes. I wish I could pass the fucking accuracy check. Wow. All right. Just land the hit. It's not that hard. How did that thing have no damage on it? Oh, right. I know how. Sometimes this game really does feel a bit like playing a roguelike because sometimes it'll just decide you've had enough. And you'll get the worst RNG known to man. All right, we're in the boss room. How good is our MP is not good enough, that's for sure. All right, here we go. It's time for Fargo. Let's see what we can do here. He's got 1,500, if I recall, HP. So realistically, what we want to do with this is just kind of like walk in circles and get hit by his stupid ranged bomb constantly. Walking water is decent damage. Ice knife is also like less decent damage, but it gets the job done. It also is just auto aim, which is nice. At bare minimum, a thing that I can say for sure here is that we can out-heal his balls, even though we can't dodge them. We're the shit. And speaking of shit, it's kind of shit that he's getting this close, but hey. There we go, that's better. Cast the correct spell. And sure, walking water is probably only doing like 20 damage extra compared to the other one, but that'll still speed things up a little bit. As long as I don't miss. That's my fault. I was kind of blind firing a little bit. And I am beyond confident that I cannot freeze this guy. He's just too swole to control. Ah, shit. How irritating. Technically, if I was being a little bit more clever about this, I could probably set up confusion and we could put that to use. But I don't know. I'm feeling good about this. Mostly. Yeah, actually, you know what? I will do that. So now when we take damage, we gain mana back. And quite a bit, actually. In fact, I think we gain back as much mana as we take damage, so... We're basically in a completely safe position at this point because he's not taking full advantage of his walking distance, which he could absolutely be doing and causing us significantly more problems and fears, but he's decided not to. Let's go for some damage here, just to push things a little bit, because again, he doesn't do shit to us really. He does so little damage that we can heal it off. So the amount of times in this fight where I will ever actually be in danger are pretty few, unless I were to intentionally like try to take a fall for some reason. I know this guy looks like he could be a pro wrestler, but we're not doing that. Like, I think even at this point I would have been safe to throw more damage, but I didn't want to push my luck, just in case he can roll high enough to do 31 to me. But hey, at least this should get us some agility experience, which is a thing I've been sorely lacking. It would have been great if that had been the finisher, but unfortunately, we're not getting that kind of freebie. He's got to be pretty close, though. It's just that obviously I'm not going to push it when I know it's not safe to do. Especially because I could just have bad luck. Hey, we got him. There we go. And yeah, we hit level 35 after that, because of course we did. Which is very funny, because I was just saying, yeah, we're not going to have a high enough experience to get right there at the end of the fight, but it turns out I was wrong. Now that we got the fire ruby, because of course we know that fire has to be assigned to the red gemstone. And as we all know, the only red gemstone is a ruby, right? It's not like there's anything else out there that could possibly be that color. Whatever. Anyway, we get magic barrier now, so we'll have that for guilty. Might even say we're geared up for that fight. Wait. Ah, fuck. Where's the out? There it is. It's past the chests. Well, past the one chest, anyway. Excuse me. There's 8 spirits left, I believe, in the game. So any takers on whether or not we'll be able to max out Earth based on the other levels that we will likely gain? Hey, by the way, we broke 50 agility. Thank goodness. Oh, right. We don't leave this chunk of land before we get to that building. That's my bad. I'm being forgetful. Because I think there's a spirit outside here and one inside. And for that matter, that place is a save point, so... we do want to take that. Ooh, there's one up there. Right, that's for the next section. Hey, dude. Yeah, we're not quite to our next healing upgrade yet, unfortunately, but... soon. Alright, we got some rocks here. Some Rockies. Not exactly Rocky Balboas, but, you know. Meanwhile, I'm trying to remember what element any of the monsters who are outside of the area that aren't the Rose Knights are. Because I believe there's kind of a mix. Oh, good work, Brian. Actually, I've got this information all in my guide. Looked all this shit up. I hope I wrote it in here correctly, but I think. Although there is a big typo in there that I have to fix. Okay, yeah, the winged sunfish are wind. So if we see those are you can take out. And Gloomwing is fire, Ogre is water, and the two Rose Knights are both fire. Because of course they are! You know, just to really make you regret if you decided to go fire at the start of the game. And unfortunately, I think these Chucklefucks take a little bit more than a single water pillar to take down. So we're going to use some Ice Wall to not hit both of them because it doesn't actually have that much area of effect. Whoops. That's better. Yeah, they hurt like bastards. The red ones, anyway. The white ones are not nearly so bad. I think the L button is assigned to something because... So I kind of showed this off earlier. And by earlier, I mean... when I first streamed this... that the control scheme... because this is using, for some reason, it's using the interface for the Star Fox 64 recomp. So... what it says is not what the buttons you assign to where on your controller are. It tells you what their function is. Which unfortunately isn't very helpful to me because I don't remember what the controls for that are. So I don't actually know where my L button is assigned right now. And that was not really the move I wanted to use there, but... yeah, now we gotta gamble and we fucking lose. Well, it's a good thing we saved recently. I've been using the B button to try to move the camera. I guess if I was thinking, I could probably be using spirit armor more. In case like that. Or just re-up magic barrier as soon as possible. I just don't want to be spending a turn where I'm caught with my pants down with it. Oh well. Oh, right. These guys also put up agility boosts. Ah, good magic barrier. Lasted for the minimum duration. Helpful. I mean, admittedly, that's probably about as long as it should last, but still. Remember my inputs for this. It's for that song that I never get in OOT randos. Okay, good. Your buff expired, but of course, I still can't land the fucking hit. Just hit him. There we go. That works. Actually, at this point, spamming healing level 1 is more efficient, mana-wise. Alright, barrier. And rocks. Well, yeah, I assumed that hitting the guy in the middle would be kind of hard, but at bare minimum, you could hit the side fellows, too. Alright, magic barrier. And yeah, see, because where my L button would normally be is assigned to the A button because of the goofy way this thing does it. Here. Have some balls, because that way that'll... I just wanted to purge his buff. That's how hard up I was to deal with that bullshit. Yeah. Okay, use the spell that it's not weak to whatsoever, that is kind of worthless in this situation. Yes. In fact, I'd say I could restart, but I'd have to go save the game. And show you, again, the issues with the interface problems here. So yeah, so my buttons are very fucked because I didn't exactly know where to assign anything, basically. Which is a bit of a downside to this, but I think at bare minimum, they are working on a new interface for it to not be using the Star Fox 64 recomp interface. At least I would certainly hope so. And this is more a case of like, okay, get an actual release out there. Yeah. Here, let me save real quick. Because we're here. spend that last 2 mana. And I will close and reopen this real quick. Let's see. Let me pop open the program on the other side here. Yeah, just quit for a sec. And reopen this. And whenever it feels like loading in... hello? Would you like to actually show the things? That way I can show that it's... Yeah, okay. Yeah, see, it's using, again, the Star Fox 64 recomp. Because that part's not done. And you go into setup controls. And, like, over here, yeah, it tells you what the actions are. And then it lets you assign buttons here. But seeing as how I don't know Star Fox 64 controls offhand... So, like, I think what's assigned to my left button here, or L1 as the case is, because obviously this thing's an Xbox 360 controller because Windows is stupid. It's like, I don't know. I think that's the Z button, not actually the L button, because Star Fox 64 had its controls set up like that. Because the N64 controller is designed like shit, frankly. And then, yeah, these are all, well, obviously I know these because I have the interface buttons here. And you've got these, but you don't really get, you know, the shoulder buttons or the Z button shown up there for you to be able to be like, oh, yeah, obviously it's that. And yeah, the D-pad is assigned to the right stick for me as usual. So I guess is that supposed to be I have to click the L stick? Is my L button? Let me try reassigning that here, and then can put that on left trigger. Sure. How do I just delete? Okay, so in order to do that, I have to delete to reassign the whole thing. That makes sense. That makes sense? I mean, it does. Yeah, so I'm going to just assume that all of this is correct and hope that from here I can go back in and I can use the L button on my L button properly. I think also part of it is just like it says debug, so that's very, very confusing. Because certainly it's not going to open a debug mode for this, right? Which would be interesting to like poke around in, but otherwise, yeah. Like I say, things aren't perfect, but most of that is down to the fact that it needs its own unique interface. Yeah, see, I'm pressing the the left trigger, and it's not doing it's not immediately pressing A, or in this case, rather Z. So I'm going to assume that that's okay. Yeah. So just keep going west. I forget my directions a lot. Okay, these guys are tolerable. I mean, I'm sure that I'm gonna have the absolute worst time hitting them as usual, but I did get those earlier. The odds of me needing them are pretty low, because unless it feels truly untenable, I'm just going straight for the end here. But I did get them anyway. At least I should have, because I talked to the guy. I love scrolling through this inventory. Yeah, right there. So yeah, good thinking, but I remembered. Oh, that's... they use Fire Pillar, I think, so... I have to be very careful about that. I mean, it would definitely help if I could actually land any of these rocks on these guys to be able to get any damage on them. Wow, the hitting here is definitely getting a lot worse. These rocks don't actually fall in any patterns secretly, do they? Ow. That damage is so high. I mean, that's kind of normal for Fire Pillar, really, but ouch. Okay, I wasn't sure because I was like, is it secretly doing a thing and it just looks random because it's hard to keep track of? Because if it was literally just doing a set pattern all the time, I would try to learn that, but as it's not, well, good to know. Oh, right, these guys do that. That's not great. Oh, are they water? Fuck. Don't like that either, but what else is new? Ooh, that animation was disorienting. Yeah, it seems like it would be a good choice there for the balanced damage, and by balanced damage I mean the fact that they're all neutral to it. Oh, wrong. Wait a second. Okay, no, there is nothing over there. I wasn't sure. I feel like that's where I would hide an extra spirit, because design, you know, I'm not great at it. Yeah, true, especially the ogre, who would be taking a pretty good amount of hits just by the sheer size of his damage box there. This hit? Yes, actually, somehow. And I'm not saying somehow in the sense of the accuracy check, but... Excuse me. Yes, I did go up there to get the spirit. I remember that one. Just for some reason, I was like, oh, is there one around the back at the lower level? And no, there's just two in here that are on branching pathways. Which is a thing that there very briefly are in this level. For little, like, side treasure rooms. I want to say that those are before Guilty, but I could be wrong. Regardless, we've more than hit our goal with regard to shit that we need to fight Guilty with, so... Need. Oh, that's the wrong move. Whoops. press magic bear. I missed.
Oh.
That's a thing you can do, apparently. Also, goddamn, this controller is sensitive with this. Because I just sort of, like... I mean, we've seen it before when I'll just be, like, doing the slow trot at the end of a fight. But dang. What's my defense? Clearly not anywhere near enough. It's... I don't even think it's... We have 48 defense, which is really bad. But also, I hate grinding on camera, so... we might just put up with it. I'm significantly more concerned about missing a buff, which I know is a thing that happened. We even saw it earlier from one of the other enemies when it missed casting, like, spirit armor or something on itself. But it is also just kind of a load of shit. I'm at least glad that healing spells can't miss. Can you imagine how garbage it would be if your healing spell missed? Also, that thing completely missed us. So, speaking of missing, but that was a that was an accuracy check. Oh, you. Good rocks. Well, I'm putting up the barriers that way I can actually fight this thing, because otherwise, this shit ain't happening. And yet we are still gambling with rocks. I forgot that guy's water. Because he's a giant ogre who uses fire magic. So that'll throw you off anyway. Well. Let's get back to the castle. And then just slog through this dungeon of several long rooms that occasionally have right angle turns. And literally just 2 enemies. They really could have stood to have put one more enemy in here. Just, like, find one more interesting thing and put it in here, and I don't know. Maybe a third Rose Knight or something. Or, I guess you have to have your... That doesn't really work in this case, because they need the theme of the York and the Lancaster, right? So... You know, the reference to British history that doesn't exactly fit there with the theming along the War of the Roses. The one time I will complain about any of the world building with this game. Because, yeah, that one's a bit of a stretch. Well, whatever. I need to remember to, like, look into whatever people know about modding this game again, and because I keep saying I was going to do that, and it's just because I'm always, like, really bad about actually joining Discord servers. I think I need that address at some point, and then I can, and then, you know. Anyway, I digress. We're dealing with this part, and we'd like to just not get hit by all 3 of these guys' lightning arrows. And that's the big thing here, because otherwise, that sucks. Right. Well, I mean, even if the community's not in a position to add new monsters yet, at bare minimum, I could pick some shit up and do some, like, tweaks, because as much as I do love this game and, like, replaying through randos and recomp and all that stuff has really just sort of reminded me, like, hey, yeah, for all that this game gets wrong and all the vitriol that it ends up picking up, this game is actually pretty good. But there is definitely some, like, issues because of balance. So, like, just moving around a couple of spells or something would at least be nice. And now we should have all the earth spells? Yes, because we have weaken all there, so... That, and also, like, make every spell actually get used. Well, okay, maybe not literally every spell, because some of them are not useful to the enemies or could break the game for that, but significantly more. See, I feel like something you could have here would be like a sort of artillery mage kind of guy who, like, yes, an enemy that hucks big rocks at you is not really necessarily very impressive. But also you could be like, hey, we've got a big guy who's got big rocks and then avalanche as a possible other move under certain conditions. Oh, you're agilitying up. This could be a problem. I feel like it would probably be a bad idea to have something use magic barrier, but you could theoretically give that to a monster. And then I'm trying to hash out what's not used otherwise. The rolling rock spells are not used for some odd reason. Maybe just because, like, pinpointing the positioning might be really crusty. In fact, I would not be surprised if that was the case, but then just be like, well, yeah, okay. There's a lot of enemies who use positional spells, and they often fuck them up. Could just deal with it. Water Pillar level 3, I believe, is not used, which is slightly odd. Not like hugely or anything, but, you know, slightly odd. Extinction isn't used, but that would be a bad idea. Ultimate Wind isn't used, but that's likely not likely to be a problem for the enemies, really. So that probably doesn't matter, but it's a statistical thing. Of some interest, presumably. Oh, that doesn't hit all of you. Damn. Well, that means we're going back to line AoE mode for this. Just deals you damage That's... Huh. Also, I failed to do one of my inputs there, but it turned out fine. Weaken all would, of course, be completely pointless for the enemy to use, because there's literally only you. Again, kind of along similar lines of like, hey, yeah, Ultimate Wind isn't really doing much for them. Yeah, I don't know, I guess I would like to see more of that stuff get put to use, that's all. That and also the balancing issues with... yeah, Avalanche at Earth 24. Yeah, okay, that seems like a thing that needs a little bit of tweaking. But I digress. Ah, shit. I'm actually not going to bother with that. Yeah, I assume that quite a few of them just, like, are not helpful for enemies. Based solely on the fact that area of effect is not really a useful thing for them to have on any level. Well, by area of effect, I mean the ability to hit multiple enemies, rather. That's not really area of effect, but I said the wrong thing, and now I have to sort of lie in the bed that I've made. So those, I mean, that's kind of ignorable. Oh god, I don't want to be in this room right now, but also I do kind of need to get my mana back. I don't think this part of the hallway is safe, though, unfortunately. At which point we'll be spamming escape to try to get out of certain things. So I think we've had this conversation before about this specific one, compression and enemies. Does that do anything, anything interesting? And by interesting, I guess I mean, does it work? Or not work? Also, this dude, like, I've just been using you as an experiment. What? Have I was gonna say, have I missed part of the plot? But, I mean, really, I don't think most people talk to the NPCs anyway, because of obvious reasons of people don't like doing that, so... Oh, that's odd. Okay, no. Magic barrier. Yeah, hitting this guy with Avalanche does not seem to be very, very frequent of an occurrence here, so I'm going to actually change tack a little bit here, and I'm going to go for this. And we're gonna inflict weakness 2 on him as well. Ouch! That's very painful, but I have many a healing item at this point, so I can just use those a little bit, and great time for that to dispel right after I hit him with Magma Ball. That doesn't remove things that are debuffs from the enemy, right? That would be stupid. Yeah, so I'm kind of guessing that compression for enemies would not be a good idea, basically. That seems like something that would be kind of janky. Oh, so I removed my own weakness level 2 because I hit him with... Oh. Well, now I feel dumb. Anyway, I guess I have to stay in kind of close to be able to even have a chance of hitting this guy with rocks. Okay, good. The L button is working properly. As you can see, I was using that. Yeah, clearly I haven't looked at the script of this game in, like, eons. Fire Pillar? Yeah, that is a good point. That's just a spell that I never think about, actually. 100 damage. What's this guy got, though? Like 800 trillion HP or some shit? He's quite a stout motherfucker, I remember that. And if I get bad rolls, I might be going back immediately. Do I still have a honey bread? I still have a honey bread. That's great, because then I can do that and do confusion. 1,800. Ooh, that's... We're in for a long haul here. Oh, I can't do confusion right now because I don't have enough mana. And that's not helping your case, Brian. Yeah, I think that I may have just thrown by virtue of bad luck and me trying to push things. It depends on if he decides to walk. Oh, well, he missed, so that's good. Do we have any more small healing items left? Because wasting a whole... Okay, yeah, I do have some fresh breads still. Excellent. Well, excellent might be a bit of a stretch, but at bare minimum, we can get back in the fight here, and I don't think this is going to do jack squat to it. Well, I couldn't see because of the truly excellent camera angle there. Pure cinema. I was going to say, it sounded like 3 hits, which is great. So, really, like, Fireball is about as good as Fire Pillar and doesn't involve us taking the huge risk. I hope so, because I don't know that I'm doing a good job. Like, I wish that the... obviously, it's an N64 game. Me saying, I wish the camera was better, it is kind of like saying, you know, I wish we had world peace. Like, no shit. Of course I wish the camera was better. But also just, like, specifically to keep it focused on the big target for a boss fight at bare minimum. Obviously, things would be a little bit weirder for, like, single enemies. You know, groups of enemies. Because they can be spread out wherever the hell they feel like at any given point. So that part wouldn't particularly matter too much. Yeah, that's true. A big part of what makes Guilty kind of a bad boss fight is that he is in this really tiny arena. So you already run the risk of the fact that he has that much movement range. So if he wanted to, Guilty could just walk up to you and be like, yeah, I'm gonna start doing the shockwave attack, and I'm going to, like, pull out a really shitty fighting game Infinite. Oh, that didn't do anything. Is that normal? Yes, I mean, there are advantages. It's not like this is completely untenable. Okay, I was just making sure that it wasn't like a weird conditional spell that I didn't recall. I'm throwing up confusion a little early here because I'm sure that I'm going to be in a position where he's going to... Yeah, I was going to say where that's going to drop, and... Yeah, we get our stuff set up. Now, thankfully... oh, never mind. I was going to say, thankfully, it seems like Guilty doesn't actually like to do his ground slam. But you saw there that he's very capable of just, like, having enough movement range to stay adhered to you like some sort of big red remora or something. But also because you're on this very small, crappy little square, it's quite easy to be in a situation where you don't have good distance that you can make away from him. So that ends up being even scarier, and if he wanted to just stick to you, he could do it even easier. However, thankfully, it seems like unless you intentionally get up in his grill, he favors using his Fury Swipes attack, or whatever it's called. His Twin Fangs, his double guillotines. His, Cross Scar. Blade Dance. Bloody Art. Sinnoh Red's Blades. These are all the names of twin dagger weapons from PSO. Is the bit, because it's 2 and it's got 6 blades, which resembles the 6 hits that those can deal. Not that I ever used any of those when I played this game on here, so anybody who's blind to PSO would be like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why would you say that? It doesn't make any sense. And truth be told, I'm not sure it makes a whole lot of sense anyway, so eh. All right. Well, that took about as long as, quite frankly, about as long as I was expecting it to. I made a Guilty Gear joke earlier, too, so... Anyway, in the immortal words of Peter Venkman, we came, we saw, we kicked his ass! It just took us, like, about as long as Ghostbusters to actually do it, so... I wasn't timing that fight. It took a while, though. I feel like I should have. Maybe I'll time the Vegas fight, although Vegas is easier than Guilty is. And especially, we have water attacks, plus we have magic barrier, so I'm pretty sure that we're basically gonna go tear Vegas's balls off. He has an element and he only has 100 more HP than Guilty. That's kind of pathetic, really. Yeah, if I thought for even a minute that I was going to be like speedrun caliber, maybe I would think about doing something like that. But as it stands, maybe someday I'll consider actually picking this up as like a speedrun. But I'm not much of a speedrunner. I like to take my time with things anyway. And yet I don't really enjoy grinding too much, but hey. I was about to say, we don't enter the Shannon room before we deal with Vegas. That's stupid. That's what the mohawk is for? I guess so. That and his massive red nose, if I recall correctly. Okay, so I'm just trying to place that I've actually remembered where things are, because I have problems with that at the best of time. Oh, you see, I think that's a fine design element, you know? It gives me something to aim for. I don't know why I said that so aggressively, but... Unfortunately, I think Vegas has even more agility than Guilty did, so... No matter how much we aim for anything, it may not necessarily pan out in the long run. Now, press your buttons in the right order. I know it's the same buttons to cast Magma Ball as it is to cast Magic Barrier, but use the correct spell. And wow, that Red Knight isn't even using the agility up. Oh, of course, we ran out at the least opportune time. It's Clawburn time. Alright. Grab this chest. Yay! Mint leaves, which are not, like, high value, really, but hey. Let's pick up the items. Spirit Light is actually pretty good. I never did go back and try to farm an Apophis for one of those. But on the other hand, we have several in our inventory now, so... Excuse me, too late. Too late. Hey, you can save my game, right? Yep. Okay, yeah, go left. Remember, the door's on our left in the way. And because it would be, like, sort of the center part of the castle. As if I can remember that, right? Now, heal from the time that we got stabbed in the ass. Oh yeah, the Shannon room is before. Right, because you go fight Vegas and you basically just go straight to the top of the castle. Yeah, you can tell how well I remember this. Oops. They have nothing to give me, do they? Just talk to them anyway. Oh, it's a singleton. I think I can deal with this. Alright, yeah, purge the buff. And now, yes. What's our experience look like? 67%. So, I mean, we stand a very real chance of actually maxing Earth. At bare minimum, we should get another level of Earth after this fight. Yeah, look at this guy. Yeah, see, I can actually kind of tell the texture color now with this between his head and his crown a little better. So I can sort of see what's going on with that. Okay, yeah, he takes about the normal amount of damage from most spells here, I would assume. And he hits us with his nuclear death laser. So now every hit should probably be like, oh, 180. I was going to say about 200. Not quite. But we've absolutely got this dude's number. Like, this isn't even going to be all that bad, really. I guess depending on our magic barrier rolls. Yeah, if we keep getting the short shrift with our magic barrier, then whatever I'm saying is a load of shit, but at bare minimum, I'm thinking we don't need to recover our mana at any point, so there's that. Do those in the correct order. Although, yeah, we're gonna heal every once in a while to make sure that the damage range for his laser sword does seem to be kind of wide. Yeah, we've been getting very low rolled on our magic barrier timer, and I don't know why I only did Water Pillar 2 there. That was a weird accident. Here, I'm willing to just fresh bread recovery. Although maybe I should have done more. Okay, good. At least we didn't get hit in return. Hey, we didn't even need to re-magic barrier. That's nice. I was ready for it to keep going, but I wasn't counting his HP. That'd be silly. That'd be very unlike me, at least. So we go up to the top here. And everything is quiet, because we've got nothing going on here. I thought we had to talk to Shannon sooner, but I was just imagining it. Alright, well, we're off to Mammon's World. Here it is, everybody. It's the point of no return. Well, I forget if that's actually the case. I forget you just go straight in the door. Yeah, I'm going for like pure turn efficiency for at least for the bosses. So here we've got a Spriggan. Spriggans are water type. 462 HP. That's a slightly bizarre amount. Like in a case like that too, I also kind of need the ability to hit both of them. So I do that for the guarantee. Well, hey, game, if you want to give me just these in this room, that's pretty good. Or, I mean, if you want to keep doing that for a good long while, too. Yeah, here's a room where you can't encounter anything. So this gets taken out in the rando. For anyone who's only seen me play the rando and not the original, on the weird off chance that that's a thing that exists. Granted, I'm sure that there's not a whole lot of people who are watching this who are like, oh yes, I've only gotten my Quest 64 content from you. I'd be very surprised if there were, like, any people that was the case for. Oh yeah, we don't go through there, we just go backwards. Again, don't remember all that stuff too well. That room, I think, is still in the rando, just for, like, set dressing, but obviously it's been months, so yeah. Oh, here we go. We got judgments. These guys are pretty easy to deal with. We also don't really have a weakness for them, unfortunately, but we can just do this. Right, we can farm HP off of this encounter. We just have to basically attack these dudes in a very specific order. And that order is the order in which they attack. And then we set to the middle. Yeah, you want to be very, very careful about it because they use Fire Pillar up close. And no surprises, that does a shitload of damage. However, otherwise, their rocks are pretty easy to dodge. Usually. And yeah, we're back to full health. Yeah, now that there's only the one left, our ability to just farm off of them is not as easy. We just have to throw fireballs, and because that's our best ranged option, really. With no wind magic, yeah. That's our best option for damaging them at a range. I mean, we could probably hit them pretty easily with the ye old avalanche, but I mean, they're rock type, so earth type rather, I guess. I'm gonna heal in basically right in front of this thing. So that's something that I feel not a lot of people have seen before, is that pinheads, or Nidhogg as they are in Japan, they have a melee attack that they can use instead of just slammoing you with the 3 fireballs up close, which is much more damaging. So I don't know why they're like that, but hey. Okay, yeah, we're still in the safe range because, unsurprisingly, Judgment can only rotate. It cannot move forward or backward. Or sideways, for that matter, I guess. So this is also kind of another good place to Vampire's Touch for some HP recovery. Because although it's not going to be fast, we can do this, and we'll gain. And with the turns that Judgment takes, we'll be able to dodge the rock, and it won't do any damage to us. So we can use this for a little bit of healing. And then we position ourselves kind of like this, I think would be the best bet. And drop some rocks to go in for the big damage here, because I'm sick of looking at this fuck. Yeah, see, once you know how to handle the fights in Mammon's World, most of them are kind of breathers compared to a lot of the other shit that we've been dealing with up to this point. There's only one enemy here that I don't really have like a great strategy for handling. And that would of course be the Pale Rider. Which, to be honest with you, I don't see the damn thing very often anyway, so I can't very readily formulate a strategy as a consequence. Oh, yeah, see, I did the big stupid with that. In that I ran the wrong direction. Whoa! That was almost monstrously stupid, because I almost walked right into that. That's honestly one of the biggest threats with Judgments, is that you can walk into their fire pillars. And you'll feel like a fucking idiot. Ah, yeah, here we go. Here they are. Yeah, big reason why I don't fight these guys. Large cutter for 83. Yes. Yeah, and they have like 500 HP or some shit. 480, pardon me. However, being that they are wind, they fold pretty easily to rocks if you ever actually manage to land any hits. Hey, we hit 48. Yeah, I don't think we're maxing Earth out, but that is the maximum element boost, I believe, so... Or the point when we get the maximum damage boost from elements, rather. Okay, so here's the outside forest. I think we get the ship's cabin here after this, and then the long paths again, and excellent. We have a dirt fuck easy fight here. Like, this is just free. Spriggans, these aren't a threat. Why are these even like this in this part of the game? I wonder if Imagineer really had like a full grasp on the balance of their game. Yes, that is true. It's just that we're probably not going to get there. But aside from that, our fire and water are basically doing the most damage they're going to do in this playthrough. Unless for some reason I was to go completely shit crazy and just go farm that hard, which I won't. Oh yeah, let's go for the Vampire's Touch strategy here. Because they are throwing out Rock Shower when we're at long range. And that is basically guaranteed damage. Rock Shower is sort of an AoE move. I've never really shown it off because it's so pathetically weak. Like, I guess they were like, oh, well, it's super easy to hit with. And then you look over at a lot of other moves that are very similar, and it's like, huh? Yes, it's just that, again, we would have to go grind out most of Wind, and then it would just be like, well... Yeah. It's basically just that Rock Shower doesn't really do much damage at all. So otherwise... So, like, what incentive do I actually have to click that? I guess, in theory, it has better range than, like, Hot Steam 2, but... You know, at this point, I'm, like... I've played this game enough that I've become No, don't phrase it like that. That I've become fire-pilled. There we go. That I play enough fire with this. I don't know, I think maybe it's just like, okay, fundamentally, Avalanche build is kind of boring. And investing in a different attack element gives you a much better early game. On the other hand, it does give you a monumentally shitty late game. I mean, I guess Wind is kind of alright in that regard. You'll usually have a decent time. Like, okay, if Wind is your main way of attacking, you might have a bad time against Shilf. Whoopty shit. But, like, Shilf isn't really a hard boss. Granted, I think at least some part of that is that, like, due to the fact that Earth is usually kind of considered the Omni element, that her being a Wind boss just kind of is a massive demerit against her. But also, like, I'm going the wrong way. But also, just in general, I don't think that she's that strong. Or certainly, unless you have, like, the goofiest build ever, you can usually outdamage her. Like, you'd have to be distracted by the fact that her breaths bounce in her animation when she casts her laser beam to not win that fight easily. Which, by the way, that was significantly more visible in the recomp. I didn't comment on it at the time, but yes, it was. And that is all I will say on the matter. Anyway, we've got a lot of pins here. I am going to just walk from this because honestly, the benefits of dealing with this fight are very few. Yeah, 4 of those guys? That's a pretty rough pack. That's a little bit mean. I don't want to deal with that. That sucks. Oh, hey, look who it is. It's another 4 pinheads. I think they're responding to the little model of the Hellraiser cube I have up on my corner shelf over there. The Lament configuration. Which, incidentally, would be a very good name for that group of enemies. Lament configuration. Because its configuration, it makes you lament. What do you want from me? I'm not going to be running on all cylinders all the time here. It's final boss time, everybody. We are going to probably be having a pretty short stream here, actually. I don't know what the hell I would do with the next, like, 40 minutes. Oh, I know something I can do. If I can figure out how to... is there a way to unload the ROM for this, I wonder? Because then I can test out... Mole Mania isn't that short. Also, I feel like I'm contractually obligated to keep blue balling you on that game. At least for a little while. Because at this point, it's getting funny. But yeah, what I wanted to do is I wanted to unload the ROM, if that was possible, and see if this would do anything if I tried to load in either a European ROM or a Japanese one. And we could see if, instead of Quest 64, we could play L-Tel Monsters or Holy Magic Century. I'm going to assume that the answer is no. No, this is... The Recomp is a separate program. I did not need to re-up that right away. That was a little silly. Yeah, I want to take a quick peek and see if I can do that. And if I can, then we'll have a look and see if that's a thing that's doable. Just because I'm curious. I really don't assume for any reason that we can load a non-English ROM anyway. By English, I mean American, because the European version has English, obviously, so. Oh, that's a pity. Still, it'd be interesting to see if it did anything. Just out of curiosity, and I guess to have a semi-complete thing going on here. As complete as I would be able to easily run. Anyway, I think I'm just going to use healing items here. Because, honestly, we're at the end of the game. What do I need to conserve shit for? That was some pretty good hits. He definitely got rocked there. Although otherwise, this really is like... I was gonna say, it really is like if you're using a Pokemon with multi-hit moves. That's my usual Rock Blast RNG, except for the several times where I got 5 hits there. Where we just turned his ass to dust. Anyway, yeah. Quest 64 Recompiled. It's pretty good. It does what it sets out to do very well. As for this game itself, I mean, I think that if there was one very specific thing that this game would benefit from, it would be like a couple of cutscenes. Like, just make the player interact with the plot. And obviously, yeah, there's balance, all this other hoopla. Who fucking cares? I think that for at least part of it is that for a lot of people, because people don't like just talking to every NPC. It's not a thing that a lot of people... I find that RPG players don't enjoy reading, which is weird because, I mean, look at what the genre is about, basically, almost in its entirety. So, just having like a couple of sequences where it's like you have to read the dialogue before you proceed, I think that would help people see this as like a game with an actual plot that might have some value, or at least something to analyze, even if it's not like even if they still come to the conclusion of like, well, yeah, I mean, fair enough. I guess I am, that is correct, loud RPG fans. There's far too many of them that you see on social media and the internet. That guy's name is spelled J-Y-M. That's fake. I'm sorry. There's definitely a lot of people that And I know that obviously they're not saying that they hate reading, but you see some of like just some big name fans in general, and you see people who just fundamentally horribly misunderstand the plots of some of these games and like certain characters. And I'm not faulting people for wanting to play, but also, like, if you don't know much about the characters, then don't fucking pretend you do. This is kind of a subtweet at the FF14 fandom on, well, more on Blue Sky now, obviously. You know, formerly Twitter, but obviously, you know, that's kind of gone the way of I deleted my account on November, whichever date it was. It was a single-digit date. Early November 2024, because of unsurprising reasons, and quite frankly, I should probably have bombed it much sooner. But, yeah. Anyway, putting all of that horse shit off to the side, that there's definitely some people who just, like, fundamentally misunderstand that, and I think that you'd get more people who would perceive this as being a little bit deeper than, like, Dragon Quest 1 for the NES if they just gave you some actual scenes where you had to... The Japanese version does at least have extra plot cutscenes at the very end, so credit there. But also, I don't speak that language, so it doesn't really help me very much. I have to read translations from elsewhere on the internet. Otherwise, though, I mean, it's fine. It plays fine. It has a good idea behind how it plays. I like the designs. There's a reason why I keep coming back to it. And I mean, if we want to be like, oh, well, this game's unbalanced, I can say that all the time. I play Gen 1 Pokemon games all the time, and the game balance on those is like... You know, if you look only at like 20 Pokemon, sure. But past that, it's like there's so many things in these games that are just unusable. Like half of Gen 1 are all poison types, which means that they fold to like the small number of psychic types that are out there that are otherwise very easily obtainable, or just fucking teach something psychic. You can make Magmar kill everything if you want to, if for some reason you're a big Magmar fan. I.e. because you played the game when Fossil was the newest set that existed in the TCG. And you could just keep spamming that smokescreen shit and you'd be the least likable person in the entire world. Anyway, yeah. Congratulations, everybody. We beat Quest 64 for, like, the 5th time on this game. Well, you see, that's very easy to say when your favorite is Tauros, which, to be fair, Tauros is, like, the best Pokemon, so I'm not here to denigrate that opinion. And I'm saying that shit kind of sucks if you liked Marowak, for example, at least for the first generation. And then they gave Marowak that thick club, and it's just like, oh, well, this thing actually breaks if you overcharge it too much, which is funny, but I digress. Anyway, I'm going to see if I can't do that thing I was talking about before. I'm going to assume not, because it doesn't say load ROM anymore. I don't know where in the settings it would be to tell it, hey, fix this. If there's even like a settings file in here or anything. Yeah, these are all RML files, so I guess that's like code and shit. Okay, so what I'm going to try doing is I'm going to try removing the folder that has my ROM in it. and just put it elsewhere for a few minutes. And we're going to have a look. And it still says start game. Well, I guess because the assets are unpacked already or something, right? So let's see what happens. I assume it's going to be like all fine, right? Yeah, so the assets are already unpacked. Shit, where did I save my zip file of this? Oh, it's literally right down there. So that's fine. I'm perfectly okay with just unzipping it again and doing this. I don't know how much OBS is going to like it, but we'll see. Again, this is probably not going to do anything of any real use, but I just want to see. I'm curious. Extract to LTL Monsters Japan. Reopen here. More info. Yes, run anyway. Start game. No, it already knows where it is. So wherever those are unpacked to, it's not the same folder as the application. So I don't know where that's set offhand. I just wanted to test that out and see if it would do anything interesting. Unfortunately, I guess we're just not going to see if there's anything interesting involved there. So Game Shark can be used to both play and use codes on a US N64. Unfortunately, I can't do anything like that with the recomp. So yeah, I guess our fun is at a bit of an end here. That's a shame. That's all right. We beat the game. We did the main thing that we were here for. And yeah. So I had a short stream tonight. I apologize.